Alright, and welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. Today is May 22nd. This is a Ficus Microcarpa I want to work on today. This is the proposed front. And this would be the back. And before we do anything else, we're going to travel back in time to February 8th, I do believe. Alright, and so here we are, just this is February 8th. Not really sure when I'm going to finish this guy up here or whatever, but I have been, I'll probably just explain it to you, but left this little wad of foliage up here in the hopes that it would just kind of put some energy towards healing this huge chop scar up here. It has some, not quite as much as I'd like to, but that's the way it goes. But I had noticed that it was causing a little bit of a dieback here, especially to the extremities, some of the longer branches. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you do try to direct energy somewhere, is you have to realize that that's going to take energy away from somewhere else. So what I'm doing today is I have had to cut this a couple times just because for a little while it was getting so big it was actually making a blow over every time the wind blew or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and just chop it off to like one leaf here, let that be the smaller apex there, and hope that some more energy just kind of goes down there to the bottom of the tree. And then whenever I'm ready, that's when I'll be working it, and that's when we'll travel back in time to again. But let's see, I had a good spot I was going to cut it at. And it looks like that's going to be right about there. So, want to make sure that it continues growing, and it still will eventually heal that wound up or whatever, but I also just want to get some more energy down here. I had it wired once, and I decided not to wire it when I was letting that go. I was just going to let it go for the winter, because some of these branches seem kind of weakened by the wire. That also just caused some of these branches to weaken even more, since I was letting that grow, but not down here. Of course, you got some strong parts, and then some parts that were just breaking off there or whatever. But now I'll let this go for probably 2-3 weeks. Should kind of explode now that I kind of whacked that off there. And we'll travel back in time to the present. When I made that video, I was under the impression that when I cut back that really fast growing apex, that all this growth down here would just explode right away, and I could prune and get some wire on it. Just because of some of that dieback that I had caused by trying to redirect the energy, I think maybe just a little bit too much. Maybe I got like a little over ambitious with how much I tried to redirect things around. Some of the dieback actually continued dying back, and then there's just some new shoots kind of popping out right from the trunk and everything. So I've just let it go. Today what I'm going to do is just get in here and prune it all back really hard. There's some unwanted growth I want to get rid of, and then I'm going to defoliate everything, cut all the growing tips, let that recover, fully before I try to put any more wire on. And I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Right there is where I chopped it to in February, and there was 3 branches coming out of there, one in the center, these 2 smaller ones. I don't know how well you guys can really see that or not, but so I cut the strong growing part out of the center, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut these 2 back. And then the next branch I have is here, right by the main aerial root that was the whole reason why I actually kept the tree as tall as I have it. There's an aerial root there that I just kind of thought gracefully wrapped itself around there. Without that, I probably would have chopped it like right about to here, same place I chopped that when I took the original tree from the parent clump that I had. There's 3 kind of shoots coming off of it. I was starting to defoliate there, trying to get a look at what it is I want to save and what I don't. This one, even though it's not coming directly down, it's coming out really close to the trunk. I'm going to go ahead, take it out. I think it's kind of really unfortunate that these 2 come out of the same side of that branch. But now that I've even had a better look at that, I'll cut it back to this one. Should help with taper. And whenever I do go to put some wire on it, that should still be pretty good and flexible there. And of course, if I cut it back like that, should actually back button there some anyway, and it might not be my only choice in there anyhow. And then here, this was another one that, because I was robbing that energy up above, I'm going to go ahead and take this guy out. It's sticking straight up. This is a good example of, I had a branch coming way out here, and I remember, I think I might have broken that off in that video. I haven't watched the entire thing. I just watched enough of it to see what the date was. But that was a branch I had intended on saving. And instead of continuing to grow out the branch, it got two shoots off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and just take them both off. These two are really close to each other. I think that one might be swooping down there a little bit too much. Alright, I went ahead and closed in a little bit better the end of this taller piece of the trunk. So that's the taller piece there, comes up, has this little turn, has that aerial root drooping down there and everything. And then here was this. Some of these, look like they were originally a clump. They'd just been allowed to be in the same nursery bucket for so long they clumped together. But this, I do believe, was actually just another branch that came off of here. If it wasn't for all the aerial roots there, it would probably look like some horrible reverse taper there. But with the aerial roots, kind of covers it up. I'm going to start from the top down, but there was that one bushy piece there coming up, kind of obstructing the view a little bit. So here's the two pieces coming out of the big chop scar. Actually, one of the places on the tree that has the best / healthiest growth right now. Except there is that little chunk of dieback right there again. And see, that just breaks right back. So that was the original branch, and then when I was trying to push so much growth up here, all of those started shriveling up a little bit, and then when I cut that way back, it got shoots off to the side instead of actually coming out to there to where it was dying. Of course, that side there actually looked pretty good. That was getting ready to get some figs on there. Now that I pruned it and all the leaves are gone, I'm sure the tree will put its energy into growing leaves again. Yeah, I suppose for now I'll try to keep it. Anything I keep now that maybe I decide is just in a bad spot whenever I go to wire it, I can always take it out then. So in essence, that's just about almost the whole front cleaned, except for that little piece right there. There, that front is now pretty much cleaned up. Everything else is all And then some of the things I know that I see in person that would be really hard for you guys to see. Like even when I went to go prune all that, that was all healthy and didn't have any dieback at all. And that, is basically because that's a whole nother little offshoot there. So when I was trying to send that energy up here, this has its own root system. And then even when I cut that back, this probably didn't even make any difference down here because that's, again, a whole little new trunk there. In hindsight, I kind of wish whenever I had repotted this, I had tried to tear that off. I think I was concerned about ripping those nice aerial roots there off and everything. But just like the one that I actually had that kind of died part of it or whatever, the part that, the bigger part that got left on its own really did look a whole lot better on its own. Probably not the video that I saved from February, but from the videos I'm sure I'll put in the link or in the description. I'll put the link in the description. There's a huge chop scar right there, and I tried to leave a branch coming off the bottom and a branch coming off the top, and that was actually one of the biggest points that I noticed. I didn't notice the dieback. I didn't notice that piece actually did have some significant there, but there's just a little bit of green right there on that tip. And then all the rest of this is just kind of shriveled up. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to take it all the way off, but I'm going to cut all the way back to there. And then maybe even just a little bit further back. And maybe with the tree responding to some heavy pruning and continue growing out some to heal up that scar. I'll probably hit that with a Dremel just right here at the end of this video. Alright, and that's pretty much it for the day. I think it's got some decent bones set. These branches in proportion to the trunk are really thin, so I'll just let them thicken up some more before I go and try to do any wiring or anything like that. Sometimes the silhouette from this side does look pretty cool, but then it has all those branches coming that way. I don't want to, usually the front you'd want to show the trunk off, so I don't want to prune them all off to show the trunk. But I know when I do have it pruned all the way back, it does kind of seem a little bit more interesting than that side. But I worked all the scars with the Dremel, and then either took my knife or my knob cutters and kind of cut back on the wound. I thought I'd show you this one here before we go, and that's just right there. You can see some of the sap still bleeding out of the wound. That's where the live tissue will start rolling. That part in there is just dead, and then that's the heartwood, which is kind of alive, but nothing ever really grows from that. It only grows from that area right between the hardwood and the, or heartwood, I guess is what it's called, and the trunk. But especially if this branch continues to grow, this one should, 100%. I left plenty of green on that. If this one sprouts again, that should heal over and look actually pretty good one day. Maybe a little bit of a hollow. Probably wind up taking the top branch off and leaving the bottom branch there, maybe with a hollow right above it.